Hello everybody and welcome to the Derek Ruby Show. I am your host, the previously mentioned Mr. Ruby, and this is Halloween month on the Derek Ruby Show. And if there's one thing that I've been missing from Halloween month the last couple years, it's superheroes. After all, they're so popular, a lot of the kids dress like them nowadays when Halloween rolls around. So this is my spoiler-free review of Venom. Now to give you a little bit of background, I am a huge fan of the Venom character. I've read the original Secret Wars story where Spider-Man got the Venom costume, as well as I've read the issue where the character Eddie Brock became Venom. He was also my favorite character in the Spider-Man animated series back in the 90s, and I'm familiar with Matt Gargan the Scorpion's version of Venom, which was very cannibalistic. Then there was Flash Thompson, who was Agent Venom, as well as a host of other people that had the Venom symbiote, so much so even recently they had a series of Venomverse comics. But the one thing this movie did before it came out that I was really happy about was Eddie Brock got the Venom costume back once again. So going into this movie, because it's a Sony film, I had little to no expectations. But man, I was pleasantly surprised because the story was paced very well and it had a really solid plot. Now because Spider-Man is basically being produced by Marvel for Sony, this story doesn't have its original origins. But they were very creative in what they did come up with for the Venom symbiote's origin story. And the character of Eddie Brock is very similar, but he is a little different. After all, when you go into a comic book movie, you have to expect that they're going to change things so that they will appeal to a worldwide audience. Now, I did see the first trailer for the movie, and the one thing that I was worried about was that we were not going to get that much Venom. After all, if you guys saw Spider-Man 3, you pretty much saw Topher Grace's head the whole time, and barely saw Venom as the complete costume. But no worries, I was completely wrong. You're going to get a lot of Venom when it comes to this movie. You do get your fill of the entire Venom symbiote outfit. If you like a lot of action in your comic book movies, you are definitely going to get that with this film. Tom Hardy does a tremendous job playing Venom. I was very surprised how well he was able to capture the essence that is Eddie Brock. His performance completely blew me away, and he really carries this entire film. The other actors and actresses are really good, but Tom Hardy really stands out from the rest of the pack. Now, the movie does show off some great cinematography. There's a lot of wide shots of the city. It definitely does have a Spider-Man-esque feel to it, just a little bit more darker and gritty. Now, if you're expecting this to be lighthearted and super over-the-top funny, like, say, a Captain America or an Iron Man movie, that's not exactly what you're going to get here. The movie at times can be very dark, but it also can be very funny. It's a very nice blend. It feels like everything a DC movie should be, but it's a Marvel property, if that makes any sense. Because this is the kind of humor I would expect out of something like Batman v Superman, but that movie didn't give us that, but Venom did. The thing that really got me about this movie was when there was action scenes, I found myself on the edge of my seat and very tense the entire time the scene was going on. And when the scenes were over, I would notice this, and so I'm like, man, I'm really into this film. Now, if you're going to do a Venom movie, you're going to have to do it with CG. So when it comes to the CG in this film, I've seen better, but I've seen a lot worse. And honestly, it's way more than passable. I honestly believe that the symbiote is there, and that makes the movie so much better than it possibly could have been if that CG had been horrible. Now, in the trailers, you do hear them call them symbiotes, and the correct pronunciation is symbiote, and Marvel did take Sony to task for this, but they actually call them both in the movie. So I guess they made it like a tomato-tomato thing. Now, of course, the movie did have some minor problems. I would have to say the biggest thing for me was during some of the heavy fight scenes. Things were moving a little bit too fast, and it had that Transformers feel, if you get what I'm trying to say. I like it much better when my eyes could keep up with it. Now, maybe it will look really good in 3D. I unfortunately did not get a chance to check out a 3D screening of the film. So that's something to keep in mind, but it's not all the time and it's very minor. And you'll easily get right past that because it's only for a few seconds here and there. But overall, if you're a big fan of comic book movies or you just like a good action film that has a good story, you're probably going to enjoy this movie. Maybe some super ultra comic book purists may have some issues with it. But honestly, I think the story is good enough that it'll probably win them over. And just in case you're wondering if you should wait around, there is an extra credit scene at the end, and I think you're going to be surprised for a lot of reasons. Sony's had a few hang-ups with their comic book movies in the past and a few of their other properties, but honestly, I think they hit a home run with this one. So I'm going to give Venom the movie 4 stars. So thank you guys for watching the Derek Ruby Show, and I hope you're enjoying our Halloween month. We still have a lot of videos left for the rest of the season, so I hope you guys will stick around. Don't forget to stay for the extra credit scene at the end, and you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And as always, have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. So many people have had the Venom costume throughout the normal continuity as well as the Venomverse throughout the entire history of Marvel Comics. You have Tel Kar, who's the first Venom, which is a storyline I believe is currently going on. You have Deadpool, who's not only in the Venomverse, but he actually had the Venom costume before Spider-Man. I showed a picture of this guy earlier. He's Lee Price. He had it for a short period of time. Then you have Anne Wang, who is actually Eddie Brock's girlfriend in the movie that we were just talking about. She's commonly referred to as the She-Venom. You also have familiar characters like Wolverine, who at one point in time had the Venom symbiote. Also from the Venomverse, you have X-23, who's a very sadistic-looking Venom in that costume. Old Man Logan in the Venomverse has had the costume, which that's a pretty dangerous combination no matter which version of Wolverine it is. There has also been a T-Rex Venom in the Old Man Logan story as well as the Venomverse. There's a Punisher version of Venom, a Captain America version of Venom, and some of my favorites, the Guardians of the Galaxy versions of Venom. You have Drax, Rocket Raccoon, who just looks completely evil with that thing on, and my personal favorite, you have Groot Venom, which instead of saying, "We are Groot," or "I am Groot," or "We are Venom," it just says, "I am Venom," because I guess it can still only say "I." A lot of you may also be familiar with Spider-Gwen, but when she was bonded with the symbiote, she was called Gwenom. So if you get a chance, look up some old Venom stories, check out the Venomverse, and I'm really excited because I think there's a lot of ways the movies can go with Venom. Not to mention, there are still a lot more Venoms that I didn't list here, and besides that, there's a whole bunch of other symbiotes that we haven't even covered yet.